Hey, thanks for joining us at The Monster at the End of This podcast. I'm Lauren.
I'm Chris.
And this is just the Supernatural podcast where we talk about the different episodes of Supernatural, about plot, lore, character development, cinematography, any other stuff we want to talk about. Today we have episode 3,
which is Dead in the Water. The writer is Sarah Gamble and Rael Tucker. And the director is Kim Manners.
And the synopsis for this episode are really detailed. Something in the lake of a small town is killing innocent people. So that's what we have for the synopsis. And so for plot, it's pretty straightforward. Nothing like major to the major plot to do with Dad.
They mention him like once, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think it's funny how Sam is so easily pushed over when it comes to Dad. Dean's just like, oh yeah, well, we'll get back to it. Mm-hmm. And Sam is so easily pushed over so that they can move away from the original plot and keep doing these monster of the episode.
Oh, like his like problems.
Yeah, they keep
like
pushing finding Dad so they can continue giving us different monsters and immersing us into
building
the
up a
world,
plot
right.
so that the show will succeed.
Right.
Yeah. That's definitely, because we don't get main plot for another till like I think episode 9. Mm-hmm. That's like the first time we get big plot for this season. I really liked for this episode how the only eyewitness was Lucas. Mm-hmm. Lucas Barr, because he is mute at this point and he's the only one who's seen the thing.
He's a witness that's hard to talk to because he doesn't talk.
So I thought that was a really cool plot point, especially since it was so important for Dean in this episode, like his connection with Lucas. Mm-hmm. So we have Peter, who wants to put those who killed him through exactly what they put his mother through. Make them lose their children, because that's worse than dying, in her words. And
you see each...
Bill Carlton's words says it too.
He repeats it. He says it's worse than dying.
Worse than dying. And then we'll
take them after
we'll
they
take them,
feel that
pain. So then when Bill is dead, they think they can leave. Well, Sam thinks they can leave.
Sam is so eager to leave town. Well, I don't know if I would say eager, but he was more than willing to wrap up the case and be done with it.
When Jake was like, you guys need to get the hell out. He's like,
sure. Oh, yeah, sure, we'll go.
Sounds good. And then Lucas is so scared in front of Dean, mm-hmm. and then he can't leave until he knows that the kid's okay. And then, so at the end, we almost get Lucas dying. But
after he reaches in for an army soldier.
That was, what the heck?
Wow, I don't understand. But
super creepy though, with the
kid,
the ghost kid in the water. That will always be one of my favorite. Mm-hmm. Like, just it's creepy. It's creepy that just like the eyes
peeking up over the water.
Oh, it's creepy. And then Peter only releases Lucas to Dean. Because they're searching and they can't find him. Mm-hmm. And once Jake walks into the lake and sacrifices himself, then Dean's able to pull Lucas out.
Right.
So I thought it was really well done, like the order of the episode.
Yeah, and how things resolved at the end.
I think the pacing of the episode was really, really well done.
I do agree.
Those are all the notes we have for plot. So for lore in this episode, we got a vengeful spirit, but mm-hmm. I think it's the first one we have. Well, I mean, the woman in white is a specific type
of vengeful spirit. I think this is just when we get into the fact that there are vengeful spirits for a number of reasons.
But it's not like always like specific like
types, like
lore with
white,
them,
right?
With like the killing the husband,
history behind it, right?
So and then the reason that these killings are
getting faster,
disappearances,
disappearances
becoming more frequent is because the dam is falling apart and the feds won't give them the grant to fix it, and so the lake will be drained soon.
Yeah, and the spirit won't have any access to take the victims.
So he needs to speed things up.
Yep.
Get his job done.
Yep, he needs to try to get Bill and Jake to walk into the lake.
Yeah, because he had originally killed Lucas's dad.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know why he kept Lucas alive.
Right. That was a comment we had for later. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Just for plot, was Lucas left alive?
I don't know. Maybe, I mean, Lucas is a kid, so maybe Peter saw, this is a helpless kid. I was a helpless kid.
However, at the end, he takes Lucas because he knew Jake was going to walk into the lake.
I don't know, maybe because... I have no idea. Maybe because he was getting really angry.
He was like, all right, time is done. We are done.
Remember, Lucas's dad was taken way back. That was way back. So that was before maybe the dam was
before they knew that the dam was going to be a issue.
Now he might actually be like, I'm taking Lucas.
Right.
If I can't have anybody else, I'm just going to take him. Mm-hmm. So that was really interesting. I thought this was a really good episode for lore. We also got information briefly just mentioning of Water Wraith and other demons are briefly mentioned when they're just kind of trying to figure out what this one is.
What this could be.
And so we get demons in the next episode. So that's a perfect little prelude to it. So we have a lot for character development, a lot that we both have on Dean.
Yes.
We love Dean and children. Mm-hmm. So, first of all, we can see at the very beginning Dean's player womanizer side. He's
Dean's
hitting
out
on
to have fun.
Yeah, he's hitting on the waitress and stuff, but then you also see in this same episode the complete other side of Dean when he's more comfortable and kind of lets his mask down, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, he's more kind of sheds some light on his feelings of his childhood experience. His childhood experiences with his mom passing away, and then connecting it to Lucas and Lucas's dad, we see that he does have emotions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we even see how different, because he was flirting with Andrea, but even when she was being drowned in her own bathtub, Sam was the one who pulled her naked body out and
and he was on
Dean
the kid.
Dean was making sure Lucas was okay
and preventing him from seeing what he saw, his mom possibly what he could have seen.
Yeah, and that leads into, let's just talk about the emotional trauma that Dean's been through. So Dean watched watching one of your parents die isn't just something you get over. That's what he says to Lucas.
Yeah, because they've both been through a very traumatic experience at the hand of something supernatural.
Yeah.
Whether Lucas knew it was supernatural or not at that point.
It was apparent. Mm-hmm. And now he definitely knows. And so hopefully he can have a different life than Dean did, which is really sad. Dean in this episode is really, you can tell how unsettled he is with his mom's death, and he has never really processed it, and that's very clear throughout the entire series.
Right.
Until season 12, when Mary's brought back, then we can see
get
him,
some more interaction with her to get the relationship he wanted, so he can have the closure that he needed.
Well, because he needed all that closure, because, jumping forward to, season 12, almost finale, that scene with him just confronting his mom about, how much he loves her, but also hates her for what he went through.
Right.
Because of her. And so, little side topic, but, so I thought it was really interesting because it was Lucas hasn't been talking, and Dean tells Lucas that he saw something really awful and he was scared and he didn't feel like talking about it. And so then I found the an entry from John Winchester's journal entries from the official Supernatural website, and I'll post a link in the description. But this is from December 4, 1983. Just for reference, Mary died on November 2 of that year. So from John Winchester's journal. Dean still hardly talks. I try to make small talk or ask him if he wants to throw the baseball around. Anything to make him feel like a normal kid again. He never budges from my side or from his brother. Every morning when I wake up, Dean is inside the crib, arms wrapped around baby Sam, like he's trying to protect him from whatever is out there in the night. And I just thought that was really interesting because this is this is a month after, and Dean still really isn't talking at all.
Right, a month after, we see similar parallels with Lucas.
Yeah, so I thought that was a really good parallel.
Moving into Lucas, side characters, or, well, not side characters, but minor characters in these episodes. I was wondering if Lucas was being possessed or maybe guided around by the ghost, because why would Lucas go out on the lake to get the army guy when he knows that there's something out there, because he's drawn it, he was worried for his mom, he knew the water was bad. Why would he do that? Unless someone compelled him to go out there. And then how would he know what the house looked like, what the bike looked like? So I'm just wondering if Peter had more of an influence on him than we know of lore at this point.
Well, so I think maybe for that, because I was also wondering, like, because they were talking about how some PTSD survivors get, like, specific skills after, premonitions and stuff after those experiences, especially, like, children. But they never really went into, like, how that happens. They didn't. They just kind of mentioned it, and they never talked about it if Lucas was. But then, like, also we heard whispers from the water, so maybe, like, I mean, it is the water system throughout the entire city. It's in their house. It's everywhere. So maybe
so
like
it could be whispering.
He's hearing the whispering.
That also makes me think of maybe it was just a little hint, the premonitions and visions happening. Wonder if it was just like a little hint that was going to happen to Sam.
That would be really interesting. I mean, because that
little tiny episode 3 PTSD. Because Sammy has a baby saw.
I know, but I'm trying to think when is like Sam's first premonition episode. I know the episode 14 is, like, main Sam premonitions, but I can't remember if it is mentioned before that. But, so, yeah, that would be interesting right now, but I just thought that was really, really sad. Because we love Dean.
Right.
But, and then I always think it sucks, like, I hate that Sam was always like, you don't even like kids and stuff. And, like, Sam, do you forget that Dean literally raised you?
Yeah.
And
I think Sam does forget how much Dean was involved, and we can see that, and we'll talk about this in the episode it happens in, but when Sam, his happiest memory is in the hotel room, and Dean's like, are you kidding? And that really hurts me, because really I really don't think, and could be wrong, I wasn't in a type of situation like this, but kids that are raised by their siblings, it's a different dynamic than normal. So Sam and Dean's dynamic is different than normal brothers. Yeah. So we see that start to come out.
Yeah, because you do see later throughout the series Sam being surprised when he finds out, like, stuff that Dean has done for him that he didn't know
how
about.
much Dean has actually
sacrificed
or taken for him.
Yes. It's so much good stuff. Okay, so now into cinematography. Right off the bat, love the Jaws, like, shot
from below of Carlson's daughter.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that she's gonna die, but it's just, like, Supernatural fans are gonna like horror movies. Like, they're gonna know it's gonna be a nice...
Classic movies, too.
Yeah. It's gonna be a nice, like, just little homage to Jaws.
Right.
A scary movie. I love it.
Moving on to maybe a criticism. When we get the first shot of the sheriff, the way that they cut off his head makes it look like his hair is a legit skunk pattern.
Okay, I think that's, like...
dark sides, white in the middle.
I think that's just, like, some graying on the top.
It is just some graying on the top. However, the angle of the camera and the way they cut it, he just looks like he's got a skunk hairdo.
All right, I'm not gonna make any personal attacks.
Yeah, moving on. I was not a fan of the jerky movements during the sink and bathtub drownings.
I wasn't either. It was just a little too
jerky. It kind of reminded me of, like, flashing lights. I was like, whoa.
Like strobe lights. They were trying to hit us over the head that something supernatural was happening when you could have just done, like, little minor movements. It was just so over the top. It gave me, like, motion sickness. One thing I thought was really beautiful, actually, was when they were talking to Peter's mom, and she's describing, like, the incident when Peter didn't come home, and she's looking into the picture frame of Peter, and, like, their faces are overlapping. It just looked it was really sad. Because
she
she's, like, crying.
She said, you're not supposed to outlive your children.
Exactly.
and that's a picture of him before he died, and now she is a graying old woman. Mm-hmm. So we get to see that represented as well.
Mm-hmm. And that was really sad, and I thought they did that really well. When Andrea is like drowning in the bathtub, and it's like it's so loud. There's so much going on because it's
she's
like
screaming,
the whispering of the water. She's screaming. Lucas is just like
banging on the door. The water
door.
splashing all over the side.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so much sound is going on. It's overwhelming, but in a good way.
Had a good effect. It was creepy. I really liked it.
I'm gonna move into when Dean pops up out of the water with Lucas.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Chef's kiss.
That is such
beautiful.
a good shot.
However, I don't like the slow-mo glitchy transition when Carlson's daughter drowns at the beginning.
Oh yeah, like somewhere.
Right. However, I do love the slow-mo effect here when Dean pops up and holds
I agree.
Lucas.
Yeah.
I like it here, not at the beginning.
I like I mean, it's weird, like, him spitting out the water, but I love that, like, the water's coming out and him, like, gasping for air. And you right before it transitions into the next scene, you can see him, like, hold Lucas and he, like, relaxes a little. He's like, he's here, I got him. Jensen put so much into that scene. And so did that kid. I don't know the name of the actor off the top of my head, but wow, he did a really good job in this episode, too. Right. For other, like, questions or criticisms we had, I wasn't a huge fan of the acting from the Carltons.
At the beginning, no.
Yeah, I just thought...
The brother-sister interactions, I
don't even have any siblings, and that was, like, I felt embarrassed watching that, because that is not how siblings interact.
And I have 2 brothers, and no, that's not how a brother and a sister would interact. It was kind of creepy, and the way that she talked to her dad was kind of creepy, too.
Yeah.
Just really awkward acting.
Yeah.
And talking about Bill Carlton and Jake, the sheriff, I personally could not have lived that long with the guilt of killing another kid when I was a kid.
Yeah. I cannot believe they didn't tell, like, anybody.
I know, because what were they, in middle school? Not even? They were, like, 12, maybe?
Yeah, I think they were, like, because it was, like, Billy on his, like, pardon me if I'm wrong, like, 12th birthday with his bike.
Yeah, or they were around that age. So thinking when I was, like, 12, if I accidentally drowned another kid, I'd be hysterical. I don't know how I don't know
how they could have just, like, let the body go.
Yeah, bury
the bike.
And
just never talk about it.
Watch this kid float away. You know his mom's gonna be looking for him.
Watch all of the, like, the cases around town, the missing signs.
Right. And then Jake even became a sheriff. Like, what?
Wow.
Anyway, moving on to a cliche line. Come play with me. Okay. When Andrea said, it said, come play with me.
Oh my god. That's like...
Really?
That reminded me of episode 1 where it was like, you've come home to us, mommy. Like, okay, the ghost is a little cliche.
Yeah.
Just don't say anything.
Reminded me of the creepy twins in The Shining.
Yeah.
Stephen King is a king. That's why God gave him that last name.
So, but he can do it. That's it. Don't do it anymore. That's cliche. So I really liked how Dean was playing with the army men with Lucas, because he used to love, and he said he used to love playing with them as a kid, and then that's 100% corroborated in the season 5 finale when they're talking about the Impala and how there's army men, like, stuck in the engine, or stuck in the cigarette holder, I think, and the Legos are stuck in the
cigarette lighter, like where you plug in car chargers now.
Yes. Or it's in, like, the window. There's army men
stuck in the Impala, and it's beautiful.
So I just thought that was really sweet. I love the Zeppelin rules, like, line he tells. Like,
okay.
Zeppelin is Dean's favorite band.
Don't argue with me on this. Dean would be a fantastic father, and we do kind of see that in the series.
Okay, yes.
I mean, with Ben, with Jack, we see
it a lot.
Even with him, with Amara when she was a baby, and he didn't know.
Is a great dad.
Would be a phenomenal dad,
and he deserved a family.
Put in that meme of that guy sitting at that table.
Changed my mind.
Changed my mind. Dean is a great dad. Changed my mind.
So, as for music, in the DVD version is Moving On by Bad Company, which I think fits better for the episode because it just like captures Dean as a character, like never really sticking around long and always moving to new places, even like though there was probably a pull for him to stay. Like he was kind of into Andrea, he really liked the kid. Like she like kissed him, I think.
Yeah,
right. So like
yeah, she kissed him at the end. I think.
Yeah, he.
Not sure if it was cheek or lips. I can't remember, but
I think it was lips, because then he was like, all right, like let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here.
Because he's like, Sam, move your ass.
No chick flick moments for Dean.
Yeah, you can see like how like he gets all flustered too when it's like actually. When he's like flirting with the girl at the beginning, all the womanizer, he's like cocky and all that.
Cocky,
but
confident.
Then at the end, when he's like in the other situation or the other Dean moment, he's like all flustered and cute, and I love it.
Oh, we see soft, cute, flustered Dean throughout the series.
We'll get it. So yeah, I just think the Moving On by Bad Company is a better song for the end of that episode, only on the DVDs. And then my last note that I love is that in this episode, they use agents Ford and Hamill, Ford for Dean, Hamill for Sam, which is awesome because in Kripke's original vision was Dean to be like the typical Han Solo character and Sam for be the typical Luke Skywalker type characters, so those actors' names is really funny. And it's also even more funny because in season 15, episode 5, they use the exact same aliases, and Cass is Agent Fisher, so he's Princess Leia.
And Han Solo, so what does that say?
We'll get to that later, but that is, that's canon, 100%.
Yes.
Happened. But do you have any other comments?
No, but we can move on into grades if you're done with your comments.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite episodes in season 1 for sure.
Yeah, I would agree.
It used to be one of my favorite episodes ever. I just I love it for just getting to know Dean as a character.
Yeah, that's
a lot.
Why I give the grade of an A+. I love the Dean we get in this.
The lore is great.
The lore is great.
Plot's
the
great.
Kid is creepy.
Yeah.
Shots are pretty great. I just think this episode is an A+ material episode.
I'm not gonna say anything to disagree with anything you just said, really, but I'm probably just gonna give it an A. Just because it's not. I think there could have been more stuff to go with the big plot, and I really like parallels and more literary devices, and there wasn't that many.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. I'm just in love with Dean, you know? So
okay, I'm in love with Dean too.
Dean gets that plus for me.
Wow, you're really gonna try to fight me on this? All right, well, we'll talk about this later. But, so, join us next time for Season 1, Episode 4, Phantom Traveler.
Phantom Traveler.
That will probably be out soon, because we're moving out, and we graduated, so...
Yes, woohoo! Graduated. Schedule may be sporadic.
Indefinitely.
Indefinitely until we figure out where our paths will lead us.
What the hell we're doing with our lives. All right.
Where the road takes us, actually.
All right. On that note, thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.